for another Undercut with thanks to Castro. We've got plenty to talk about on the episode this week. James Moffat, welcome back to the studio.
It's good to be back, Nudes. Thank you.
I'm worried, though, because I don't think your hairstyle's quite in place for that chair, by the way.
Oh, well, this is as good as it gets for me. Sorry to disappoint everybody out there, but no, Perko is setting a very elite bar at the moment with the hairstyling, so fair play to him.
YouTube views have gone off the back of the last episode because of Jack's amazing slick back hairstyle. It's seriously impressive.
Well, he's a slick operator.
He is. So. That's true. We've got a lot to cover off. We've got burning questions. Kai Allen's going to join us on the show this week. We've also got a look at some of the biggest finds in the history of supercars racing. That's a challenge for you to try to remember those and figure some of those out. Castrol Performer of the Week is our first episode, is our first segment of every episode anyway. But before we get into who yours is and who mine is, I think we've got a little bit of a combined Performer of the Year award. Literally, we have an award.
Hey.
This is the News Press Australia Award for Best Podcast to the V8 Sleuth Undercut for our work last year and this year. So to you, to Jack Perkins, to our producer, Mark Walker, to those who voted, thank you very much. That is News Press Australia. That's the major motoring awards in Australia every year. So here, have a look, have a feel. Does it feel?
Thanks very
you
much.
feel like a winner?
Thanks to Mum and Dad and everybody else involved.
Everyone I've ever met.
So, great stuff. And really, in all honesty, congratulations to yourself and Mark Walker for putting this all together. Perko and I are just along for the ride. And,
no. We need people to ride with. We need people to ride with.
Yeah, it's a fantastic accolade. So well done.
Righto. Enough of the self-congratulatory stuff. I've got my Performer of the Week. In fact, it's a former teammate / boss.
Right.
Of yours.
Okay, well, that sort of narrows it down.
It does narrow it down a little bit. Todd Kelly, TK, 2005 Bathurst winner, came within this close of winning the Australian Offshore Superboat Championship on the weekend. He had Mason, his son, alongside him. They won 2 of the 3 races in the last round, just off Adelaide over last weekend. They ultimately fell short by 2 points in his rookie year. So not too many Bathurst 1000 winners nearly winning offshore superboat championships.
No, and TK has always loved his water sports and particularly the speedboating. So it's not a surprise to see him doing a bit of that offshore stuff. So almost grabbed the title, which would have been great to see, but it wouldn't have been through a lack of effort.
No.
There's no doubt about that.
Loves tinkering. It's a Kelly thing, isn't it, those boys? Like, they just love tinkering.
Very much a family thing for them. I know that when we were racing the Nissans back in the day, Todd would always ski behind the boat that Rick would drive, and John Kelly, the father, he would be the navigator. So I know that when the boys were racing, Rick and Todd, that was always the deal, that if they went speedboat racing, that John had to be the navigator. So, but yeah, nutbags, really.
Didn't they bolt a Nissan V8 engine into
at one point
at one stage? I think an 18-degree Chev might have got a bit of a run there when they were no longer the engines in the supercars. So really cool. So Todd Kelly's my Castrol Performer of the Week. I got a feeling that yours is pretty hard to top.
Yeah, look, mine's probably predictable with what's happened in racing in the last week or so, but Shane Van Gisbergen's absolute throwdown beating that he gave the NASCAR Cup field.
That's putting it lightly.
At Watkins Glen. Man, that was just, I don't know how else to describe it other than just seriously impressive. Like, he just laid one down on the competition there. Like,
about 100.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think, wasn't he, so he got pole. So he was doing the
three tenths clear.
On pole by a country mile.
Yep.
By the time he does his last pit stop, he has to do it under green. So he comes out miles behind. So I had to write this down so I got it right. He's 26th in the race. He's 29 seconds back from the lead. And in the next 18 laps, he gets to the lead and builds a margin and gets to 7.3 and wins, leads 74 of the 100 laps. Thank you very much for the rabbit. See you later. Bye.
Thanks for coming. See you later.
No wonder they wanted less road course races on the calendar this year. My God.
Nah, like all you can do is tip your hat to Shane. It just reminded me of some of his clinics he put on in the back end of the Gen 2 era where he was just so dominant.
Untouchable.
Just tyre management, just the whole execution of the race from start to finish, he just couldn't do anything better. And, it looked when they pitted with that sort of 18, 19 laps to go that they might have chosen the wrong strategy versus the competition. But, just the way he was able to peel through the field and and build that margin, like you said, at the end. You
crazy.
just sit back there, and even my young bloke, Max, he's a 9-year-old, and we were watching it on the couch, and he's like, Dad, what's he doing? This is out of control. Like,
why can't you do this all the
crazy.
time?
Yeah, I'm like, mate, he is special. So
He's racing IQ. He's something very special, and it's awesome that we can see him now putting it on the world stage against some of the best in the United States. So Todd Kelly and Shane Van Gisbergen, they are our Castrol Performers of the Week. With thanks to Castrol, our amazing partners here on the Undercut. Unlock the edge of performance with Castrol Edge. That's what you need to do. What we need to do, though, now is get into the burning questions. Let's roll in. Moff, should rivals be friends? Discuss.
Well, I think for it to be a fair income rivalry, then no, they can't be friends. Because how can you be going hammer and tong on the track, bumping into each other, doing whatever, and then hanging out away from the track? It just doesn't happen. So,
but is this a reflection that the world's different now? I mean, so what we're talking about, so we've had
the world is different.
We had in New Zealand, obviously, Chaz Mostert, Brodie Kostecki get together. In the aftermath, there was a bunch of the boys, I think, that got together in Toowoomba from what I've seen. There was a photo on socials, and Brodie was there, Chazzy was there, Will Brown was there. Of course, he's Toowoomba mayor. Jackson Walls, Woody, I think Woody was there as well from memory. So it raises an interesting point that's been raised. And, the rivalries can start and stop. I guess when you're at the track, it's different when the heat comes out in the aftermath. But I guess from their perspective, those drivers are saying that, well, it's being beaten up. Like these rivalries are being beaten up by the media, by the sport to try to fuel the interest. But that's probably a byproduct, if you wind it back, of the fact that there's barely any racing for a long period of time. There's nothing else to really talk about. There's no testing. There's no technical development. It's not the AFL where a coach is getting sacked every now and then and stuff like that. There's nothing to talk about. So, but there's also got to be a bit of buy-in here too, I reckon, where you don't take the mask off the Lone Ranger, but I reckon if you can still be friends, you can still be mates, but when you pull the helmets on, absolute war. But then what does the public see? But I think the public's pretty cluey these days. Like,
well, there's so much access now, obviously with social media.
You so much.
So I think that's probably what is part of the reason why we don't see those sort of fierce rivalries that we sort of always reference, that sort of mid-2000s between Murph and Marcus Ambrose, Scaife and Ingle, if you want, after, Eastern Creek in 2003. That was before social media. So
so it took effort to have a swing if you were a fan and you wanted to express your opinion or who you thought was in the right or wrong. You had to write a letter into a magazine, or you actually had to do some effort to do it. But now you can just whip out your phone. You can send a direct message, might not make it, though, to the person involved.
Yeah.
It's a very different world now. So I understand why in a lot of these cases the drivers just go, if we do anything or say anything or fuel anything,
you just get smashed.
It just gets smashed back at you. Yeah. So why would you bother?
But I still stand firm. I think if you want that fierce rivalry, then no, you can't be friends, because the rivalry, if it's fair income, it carries over into
you can have respect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I probably think about my father Alan and Peter Brock in the 70s. That was Ford versus Holden, and they were fierce rivals because it was red versus blue. Obviously, the landscape of motor racing was very different back then, but I know for a fact that as Peter and Alan got older, well, there was a mutual respect between them, and eventually they developed a friendship. They drove together in the mid-'80s.
But it wasn't a rivalry born out of crashing into another and verbals and finger-pointing. It was that they were opposite in every way. Holden Ford, the Canadian guy with the specs, Brock the good-looking sort of playboy Melbourne bloke. They were opposite in all the angles, but that's what formed the rivalry, because they were literally on opposite sides. Yeah. Whereas now, that's not so much a thing. The manufacturer divide's not there like it used to be. So it's a very different time, but then you didn't get the background access that you do now, as we mentioned before. So those rivalries were rivalries in the sense of opposites, but not in terms of hand-to-hand combat on the track or disagreements. The HDT blokes and the Ford Motor Company blokes would end up at the Marlborough tent on the Sunday night for a beer or two here or there.
Yeah.
but you didn't see it. You didn't see photos really of it. You didn't see it in your. You didn't have a mobile phone in 1975 or whatever it was, but like you just can see it more now. So we live in different times. So we're never going to have it like we had it before.
No,
I think
definitely.
that's how it should be kind of viewed. But is there part of it that the drivers need to come to the party a little bit here to be, well, you know what, we get it. We need a bit of rivalry. The sport needs a bit going on. There's not enough racing. There's not enough this. We can't fix that straight away. But what we can do is have a bit of fun with this. And if the world thinks that we've got something going on, fine. As long as the 2 people or 3 people involved are fine, then can it hurt to play a bit of theatre to it all?
Definitely the drivers have to come to the party on this. And, Woody and Brock Feeney.
It's a perfect example. It's got all the organic elements.
It obviously kickstarted at Adelaide, but, now I've read a report that, they've made up and, their differences are sorted.
I don't think it's sorted. I think they've spoken and I think there's understanding.
So,
but Brock's not going to be Ryan's best mate anytime soon or hanging out for a beer.
No, but Brock doesn't sort of strike me like that type of character anyway with most of the field. I could be completely wrong on that, but obviously we've got sort of something brewing there with Chaz and Brody. They've sort of come together a few times now, and clearly Ruapuna is the most recent one. But I feel like it's almost like a default now for the guys to try and sort of
diffuse it.
Yeah,
straight away.
Yeah, and that's all off the back of social media.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
And I
on
understand
that.
it totally.
I'm convinced on that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If you took away the social media element, I reckon it's a different conversation. But fact is, social media's here. It's here to stay. It's going nowhere. It's always going to play a part. So how can this be changed? How can it be modified? You need the organic things happening on the track to start with. The fact is we don't race often enough to have these things happen often enough. So if we went racing a week later, 2 weeks later, the storylines move on. The news cycle moves on. Football plays every week.
Exactly.
You could get thumped the previous week, but you've got 5, 6, 7 days before you can come back and maybe have the redemption story and either stop the drama or make the drama worse, depending on how well you go or you don't go. So I don't think there's a simple answer to this one, but
I think you and we would like to see more rivalries, wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's what the whole thing's predicated on.
Poll out there, I think it would be favoured more in yes than no.
Yeah, but I understand it when you're one of the people who is being put into one of these things in the current landscape of the world. In the 1970s, water off a duck's back, don't see it, don't read it, don't hear it, don't know it. But very different for the drivers of today. So it's an interesting one to try to, how do you balance here and there? I think, look, to answer the question, I think rivals can be friends. It's just how much of it that they show the world is the real topic here. I think you can be friends. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to have dinner every week. You don't have to swap Christmas cards. It's almost a line between respect versus friend.
Yeah.
Who was your greatest rival in your career?
Greatest rival?
Did you ever anyone that you had the most angst with?
Put me on the spot there, Noons.
I like to do that.
Probably a few. But yeah, to your point, when I was full-time, there were several guys that I was friends with outside of the track, but you put the helmet on and you race hard against
So if
each
Perko
other.
and you were side by side in 2014.
Perko and I have come together.
How did that go down?
A couple of times. But, we weren't rivals at all. But, we're mates. But you move on from it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So you know that it's never intentional. Like, Slady and I, for example, we're very good friends, and we had a coming together on a slowdown lap of all things.
I don't even remember that.
That was at Winton in 2013. I think I was aggrieved, or Tim was aggrieved at me at something that happened during the race.
Yeah.
And it sort of came out of the blue, and, But so, I've never probably had a fierce rival. There's always guys that you want to beat and maybe you race a bit harder as opposed to, other people. But nothing springs to mind in terms of a fierce rival.
Hold that up your sleeve. We might see who you can come back to and figure out a little bit later on. But I think rivals can be friends. It's just a case of it's a challenging topic. Matt Payne, what should he do? Because I've got a theory here. Nothing.
No.
Do nothing. Go nowhere. Don't worry about what's out there. Get the job done at Grove Racing. Good team, great team.
Well,
on the build still.
He's in a very good situation where he is.
Yep.
There's not a question of their car performance. Like their speed, particularly at Ruapuna, was, like that race on Sunday, just dominated. Dominated. Almost like what we're talking about Shane at Watkins Glen, really spanked them.
Yeah. But it's not a team that's, they're strong.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are making the discussion about the lure of GM and overseas and possibilities and money and all that sort of stuff. But it's so different to, say, Shane Van Gisbergen. Mm-hmm. Shane had been here for 16 years in supercars before that whole Chicago thing happened, before the door opened to go to Trackhouse. Matt, yes, he's won at Bathurst. He didn't even make the finals last year. He's won some races. There's just way more stuff to do where he is right now than worrying about, and he's contracted, I think, for the rest of until the end of next year. I'd see it out. Okay, you're always going to get advances. There will always be sniffs of money. There will always be other things out there. But when you've got it so good where you are right now and probably one of the best two teams in the pit lane, by and large, you'd want to have a really, really, really good reason to leave.
Yeah, and certainly at the moment, lack of performance isn't one of those reasons.
No.
And there's nothing to suggest that the Grove Racing organisation won't continue to go upwards.
No. And that's even with a few of the pieces. Obviously, Grant McPherson's going to Chev and sort of serving out some time. David Couchy departing at the end of last year. It's just rolled on. And that's the key to any sporting team is, okay, people will get poached, people will move on, that's life, but keep developing, keep the process and the core structure moving forward, and they've been able to do it. So
but the thing for me, Noons, is where there's smoke, there's fire. So this story just won't go away.
It won't go away.
So at some point, it needs to be either just put to bed, from Matt's side.
Yep.
So he can
this will distract the championship run later in the year if this keeps going.
100% it will.
Yep.
And it will start to destabilise the team as well, which they don't want. But the only thing that I can think of, if these discussions are real, is that the carrot that GM are able to sort of put in front of Matt for international races through whether it be IMSA or something like that. Now, sure, Groves have the ability to also offer him that sort of international carrot through their GT3 stuff that they do overseas-wise, but it's not quite the same lure as a factory program or something like that. So,
but could GM even be able to offer a guaranteed level of some? I mean, this is all stuff that's been out there in the mainstream press, some of the IMSA stuff and the NASCAR stuff, and I think you get that opportunity down the track though when you put more on your resume. It's just, and I felt that the whole time throughout the year of sitting back and reading and hearing all this stuff. So I think to answer the question, what should Matt Payne do? Nothing.
But when you're performing at the level that he is, it's only natural that you're going to be in demand. So it's a good problem.
That's a good problem to have. And look, GM, they need a star. They need to get a bit of power and a bit of weight back across to their side of the manufacturing divide. They've got to do whatever they can do to try to grab someone because the only way they're going to grab a big fish is to go fishing with a really big hook and reef that thing out.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens. Moff, what's the best celebration in supercars / touring car history? Because Carson Hockover had a bit of a crack at Russell Ingall's sort of, burnout out the side, Phillip Island 2005.
Took him a while to get to it though, didn't
really get it going like Russell did. I think Russell had it nailed when he let it lob. But we've had a few good efforts here in Australia over the years. What stands out? Who are the podium runners of celebration? And it doesn't have to be burnouts.
Yeah, well,
burnouts are kind of the normal, but there's other ways to celebrate.
I think for me, the OG is Russell in 2005 down at Phillip Island, celebrating that championship.
That was pretty
because
good.
It sort of came out at
solid
first that we'd sort of seen.
No one had done anything like
that time. Yep. But Shane's effort at Adelaide in 2022 when he jammed the boot in there and got up and stood on the roof.
Up against the wall.
That's pretty hard to contend with. Yep.
Yeah.
I've also got Shane for Darwin in 2011 in the SP Tools SBR car.
Stones Falcon.
Where he basically did a big drift skid for the whole lap. That time.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
He did that with Techno, I think, at Eastern Creek one day too in the VIP Pet Foods car. and it was a wet race.
In the wet,
so we was just driving around in the rain on the slowdown lap, just going for it.
But I'm going to put one, before you nominate your contenders, what about failed celebrations?
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
So I've got Wink Up at Symmons Plains when he was yapping on the commentary to Matty White.
2008.
Binned it coming out of the hairpin.
Straight into the bank.
I got Will Davo up there at Townsville,
Slapping
I think.
the wall.
2013. Yep. And then probably more in recent times going off supercars, but Connor Zilic last year at Watkins Glen.
That was scary.
When he knocked himself out and subsequently.
That could have been so worse.
Yeah, he obviously won the O'Reilly race at Watkins Glen. He come out through the roof hatch, so he learned his lesson.
He did learn his lesson. Yeah. Safety first on the dismount there. I've got a couple of others. Wing Cup features again. So remember when he won the championship in 2017, that last race, all the drama of that last one.
Yep.
So I think that fountain that he jumped in when they had where the car was and the podium was. Remember he jumped in that fountain?
Yep.
I don't think that was a good fountain to jump in just quietly for various reasons. But the bit that a lot of people didn't see was there was a boat.
A Red Bull boat.
A Red Bull boat alongside the pit straight moored out on the water. A
bit more than a boat, actually.
Well,
probably
yacht.
Yeah.
A big bertha.
Yeah.
So old mate, Wing Cup, who I love the fact that a lot of people in fan world think that he's so straight-laced and so, which he was so focused as a driver on trying to achieve what he achieved. But he's a lad. Like he knew how to have fun too. Launches a backflip off the top of this thing, like out of the blue, just goes, yeah, right, bang, gone in the water. I reckon that as a combined bit of effort was solid. But Reynolds is hard to go past too.
Yeah.
2013 Gold Coast, first win with he and Canto. You know, what did he do? Pot plants off the podium. The armour all bloke, he had his hammer stolen and that was a weapon.
Got old Dino Canto and the Jets Crackers.
A small modification to himself.
I think lucky that Dino had his children by that point.
Yes, I think that was a very good idea. So there's quite a few to choose from here. But what's the best? Well, what do you go with as, it's pretty solid. What do you wish you could have done?
I think Russell's, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
It sort of set a very big benchmark.
Yeah, exactly. It set the benchmark and others have sort of come and gone and tried and there's been some good ones, but I think to sort of be the first of that.
Yeah. Hard to top.
Yeah.
That's
and
hard
then
to top.
The other one going sort of completely out of tin tops, Alex Zanardi obviously did some awesome burnouts back in the kart days.
Yeah, good car stability.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because obviously Alex Zanardi passed, very recently and his story beyond his racing story is
incredible, isn't it?
Insane. I mean, what that man went through in his relatively short life and
he jammed a fair bit in there, didn't he?
That's one way to jam it in, 50-odd years.
Yeah, certainly an inspirational person, that's for sure.
Those Honda engines in Champ Car, 2.5 litre, 2.65 litre, V8 turbos, Gold Coast 98. Go and look it up. It was pretty impressive.
Target liveries, lightning bolts down the side,
all that. Reynard Hondas, tick. Yep. When Indy cars were proper Indy cars. One little one before we wrap that topic though. It's outside supercars. The late great Anthony Gobert motorcycle race. I think there was a World Superbike round at Phillip Island. I'd have to look it up. But
when he nuded up, down to the jocks.
He just threw off all the gear. The leathers went, the gloves went, everything
96, I reckon, around that era.
Late 90s, early 90s, I'm not sure.
But almost when it was a peak Superbike.
He literally was in his undies on the podium. Yeah. And I think Reynolds has always threatened to do that sort of stuff, but he's never quite gone that far, which is probably safer for
Well, let's hope Dave Reynolds gets back up on the podium in the middle step so he can actually turn that thread into
any step. Just let it rip.
Because he's probably the only one in the field that would actually go through with something like that.
Yeah, probably. Actually, for good reason too.
We need to ask ourselves whether we actually do want to see that.
Do we really need to see this? That's probably another question. I don't have that on the burning questions this week, but what can be done to fill the gap? Jack and I talked on the last episode, a previous episode, about Super 2 maybe doing a standalone round, but there's nothing happening.
Yeah,
there's nothing happening in the landscape at the moment. You've got you're racing Trans Am. How many rounds have you done so far this year?
One, and we're the middle of May.
Yeah. When's your next one?
Middle of June. So we're about a month out.
You've done 2 in 6 months.
Well, I will have done 2. Yep.
Super 2's done 1. They next race at Darwin. Carrera Cup's done 1.
It's crazy.
And we're at May.
Yeah.
I know we've got a really big back end of the year with all those marquee events, which is an awesome time of year, but it's dead.
Yeah.
There's nothing to write about. There's nothing to talk about. luckily at V8 Sleuth, we've got a bit of car history and old stuff, and
Yes.
we do history and heritage as part of what we do, so we can maybe dial that up a little bit here. But for the sport, at the News Press Awards, which is where we won that award, so many motoring people who used to work in motor racing, whether they cut their teeth in magazines in the 90s or stuff like that, so many people are like, what's happening? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Who's winning? Who's like the motoring media of Australia? And I know the motoring landscape is very different to the racing landscape these days, but clueless on what's going on.
Yeah, and it's, I guess, maybe just to help our listeners out there maybe understand obviously why we have such a void is, clearly we went over to New Zealand for the back-to-back races, which for me, that was a massive tick. You know, the back-to-back weekends.
If you're going to go for one, you may as well stay for two.
But the fact that we were on, you knew, okay, you're watching Taupo, but next weekend they were going to be at Ruapuna. That for me was just.
But for television timing for Australia, it's not very good.
It's not great.
It's not great. You've got to be hardcore to know it's even there.
But the fact that we have such a big break is because the cars are shipped over now. So they go by sea freight, whereas in years gone by, the cars were air freighted, so they could be over there in, not even a day.
Yeah.
So the turnaround time was a lot quicker.
Yep.
So we don't have that luxury now because there's obviously a huge cost involved in air freighting the cars versus sea freight.
Yep.
So that's why we have this big lull. And then, of course, they come back to the mainland and then they go a much shorter trip, but still on the boat to Tasmania. So that's only, thankfully, an overnight trip.
Yeah.
But, we've spoken about this several times. This is not new news, unfortunately, but I think, a Super 2 round where they're the main category, get your Carrera Cups along there, Trans Am, Toyota 86, whatever. There's enough categories in the country that you can put on a great weekend's worth of racing, peel the broadcast back, take all the fat out of it. It doesn't need to be the big fancy production that the Supercars is. Just, it's a perfect example as to how you can put an event on at Winton, Malla, we are almost sounding a bit like a broken record.
It is, but it's a problem.
It is. It's a massive problem.
We'll never race every week.
No.
We'll never race
we don't
20
have the
times a year. We don't have the
sustain
population.
it. We don't have the racetracks really to sustain it, to be honest.
No, and the way that the agreement's forced that's been done between the teams and race that own supercars, every time you add another round for main game, you've got to pay the teams more, which is just how it's kind of got to work.
Yeah.
So they're in that structure, and that's how that's going to be. But if we're going to go to New Zealand for 2 rounds in a row, but yet have a 10, 11-week overall period either side of nothing, we've got to put something on because there's just not that regularity that the sport needs the momentum. So either we've got to forget about starting so early in a year, getting a few rounds in and then we go off and, do those far away rounds because they're always going to have gap between them too. It's not a perfect scenario. I don't know what the perfect scenario is, but how do you find a way to fill gaps when you can't go and make more supercar rounds? Come up with another event.
Yeah.
A Super 2 standalone round.
Yep.
Dump one off the main game, make them the star. Pretty much every main game team has a spare car.
Mm-hmm.
Send some spare cars along to that event. Call it a mini test, call it a demo, do whatever. Get some stars there. Just put on another event.
Yeah.
Like seriously, if you found a date at Winton somewhere in April, May, half the teams are based in Melbourne for Super 2 anyway.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I've
Make it
never
happen.
thought about
bit of imagination, a little bit of big thinking.
Yeah. Do you put a test day on, a main VCS test day, but it's a rookie test day, evaluation day where it has to be somebody outside of the championship.
That's probably a good way to do it.
And you can do one at Winton and one at Queensland Raceway.
Mandatory evaluation day.
Something like that. But we need cars on track.
Yep, we need cars on track. It's like not having people kicking footballs around.
Yep.
Current prediction for the Final Four, fine sir. Who do you think's going to make it? Who's not going to make it? I know we're 4 down. We've got 5 left in the Sprint Cup. There's 2 Enduro Cups. But for me, Feeney, Payne, Allen, Kostecki. 2 Groves to be in.
Yeah. So, we can only go on current form at the moment, and it is a long way out.
And all sorts of stuff could happen in Enduros.
Absolutely right. But, I've got Brody, Brock, Woody, and Payne.
So Woody and Allen are the only 2 that we miss on.
Yes, correct.
Yep. But Wood's a chance.
We're going to sort of throw any maybe wild card predictions in there at the moment.
Is Brown done? He's not that far behind in points land.
I know
he's ninth coming into Tassie, but
I wouldn't for me, a wild card that would be somebody like a James Golding. Solid enduro campaign, got Richie Stanaway there alongside him. They're proving that they are close to the real deal.
8th in the points.
Yep.
Yeah, if you'd said at the start of the year that Blanchards were going to be 8th in points with Golding after 4 rounds, you would have gone, oh, really?
But we're saying final 4, so
a long way to go.
A bit has to go.
Yeah, a bit does, but they had a good year.
A few laps that have to be played out before we get too carried away.
They had a really good Bathurst last year, so if they have good Bathursts and other people in the mix have bad Bathursts,
and
the swing can be
if
pretty
you've
good.
got momentum coming off the Enduros and you carry that into Gold Coast, anything can happen, as we saw last year. So
true.
A lot to play out, but I think the story will be more about who's going to make it into the top 10.
Yeah, I think that's the next.
Already a big points difference from, say, like your Randall in 12th.
There's a jump to get into the 10.
150 off 10th. So.
Big time. Speaking of 10, I've got a question for you, and we need to unpack this a little bit.
Right.
What are you doing on October the 10th this year?
October the 10th? Well, nothing at the moment, Noons, other than probably watching the great race, which hurts me a little bit to say that I won't be competing in it, but, there's still a few things to unfold that might see a scenario
you're not done.
I'm not putting
you're
a
not
line.
ringing around?
I'm not putting a line through it right together, but
it's unlikely.
I would say it's unlikely, but we'll wait and see. But a few things would need to seriously come together to see me on the grid, but that's just how it is.
So if that is how it works out to be, what do you think? What do you feel? Are you content? Do you look back on your runs up at the mountain every October? And I know you didn't quite get the bit that you're looking for. You got to the podium quite a few times and really competitive and drove a bunch of different cars with a bunch of amazing people. What's your feeling if it is that you're on the couch this year?
I haven't really thought too much about that, and I think that's probably maybe because I'm fortunate enough outside of racing. I'm very busy and, I'm sort of go with that side of things that you don't sort of have time to sort of sit down and really reflect on things or dwell on things. I'm sure that scenario will be a bit different for me come October 10 if I'm not there up at Bathurst. And I'm sort of forced to turn on the television and watch instead of compete. Maybe there'll be some different thoughts that go through my mind. But, like I said, I haven't completely put a line through it. So a couple of little things that, I'm doing in the background that might see a possibility. But apart from that, there's not really too much to elaborate on.
Are you open to last-minute motors? If there's someone ill, if there's a last-minute change between enduros that you would get thrown in without maybe doing a test day or things like that, would you steer away from that if that scenario was potentially?
I think I would steer away from that just because I think it's underrated, the commitment that is needed to be put in by a co-driver, especially because the level is so high. That would be probably doing everybody an injustice if you just got thrown in without any laps. And
pretty hard.
Don't do the right thing by the team you might be driving for. You don't do the right thing by yourself. So, we'll wait and see.
We will wait and see. Tell you what we will do now, though. It's time to dip off into the archives for our great friends at Castrol. Here's some classic stuff. The great Colin Bond, the only man to win the Australian Touring Car Championship, the Australian Rally Championship, and the great race at Bathurst. This is Bondy in a classic TV commercial from the 70s.
Castrol, put to the test. When the Holden Dealer Team push their cars to the limit, our oil's on trial too. They need the best, and Castrol comes through every time. Proved by Holden and approved by them for every car they've ever made. Follow the experts. Choose Tungsten Tough Castrol. Every time.
Well, on the Undercut on this episode, we have a Supercars race winner in James Moffat, but we also have the most recent Supercars race winner, Kai Allen. Does that sound good to you? Supercars race winner, Capital. Do we have to run a Capital on everything?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably a bit more formal. But no, it does. It sounds very good, doesn't it?
Welcome to Undercut. Good to have you here.
No, thank you very much for having me, guys. This is awesome.
There's a lot to unpack here, James. There's a lot we've wanted to catch up with Kai on, but that win in Ruapuna, in a way, it's great. I mean, you've scored your first race win. You've been trying to do this for a long time. You've been dreaming of this day, and you go and win on a bloody Friday, and you can't get on it.
I know. Yeah, that was the weird thing. It sort of didn't really feel like a race win because obviously I was thinking about how to improve the car for the next day and all that stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, it was absolutely awesome and a lifetime goal that I ticked. But yeah, it was quite weird. And it was that Friday where we just did practice in the morning and then I've won a race in that afternoon. So my mind was spinning in that evening. But no, definitely a very cool way to get that one done, and especially for the first race in Christchurch as well. So,
but you just save it up for Sunday night, or does it just peter out by the time you get through the race weekend?
Yeah, the problem was I think we flew out at like 6 a.m. on Monday morning.
Ooh.
So,
yeah, but you're still young, mate.
Yeah, no, I wasn't.
Bounce back, no dramas from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey?
After 2 big weeks in New Zealand, I thought I'll just have a few drinks with the boys and get some good night's sleep. But definitely, definitely haven't had too much time to celebrate it. But it's definitely celebrating a different way with the family and that as well, which has been really cool.
Have you had time to sort of ponder all this? Are you ahead of schedule? Is this where you kind of hope you would be a year and a bit into your full-time main game career?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think obviously, getting that race win then, I didn't really expect it. And I only looked back to sort of a week before at Taupo and it's sort of, I was like, can I get a race win over here in New Zealand? And wasn't really sure, but it all sort of just come together and did a lot of work, obviously, pre-race at Ruapuna, trying to learn the track on the simulator and did a lot of research. So I thought that that Friday race is probably a really good shot for me to sort of try and work a bit harder and get a step up on everyone. And yeah, talking to some of the other boys, they did no work or no real prep. They went over and drove a Toyota 86 or whatever there. But
quietly went over and had a steer.
But we actually developed.
But you didn't go.
I did, but then
what did you go and drive?
A little 86. It was great
fun.
fun. So then, we obviously developed on the simulator and did so many laps, which is really cool. So yeah, that helped me obviously get in there. But then, we just definitely had a really fast car and Matty obviously dominated as well. So it was a great weekend for the team and super proud of that one.
Moffy's in the race winners list now. Do you get a welcoming pack or what do you get when you win a Supercars race from the brethren who've been there and done it?
I haven't won enough Noons to welcome anybody into the club and it was a long time ago, unfortunately.
You're on the list.
But I know, I guess that first win obviously means so much. What was your overriding feeling and emotion after the race?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like once I sort of saw mum and dad and gave them a hug, like I know how hard and how much they've sacrificed
with
for
their
me
tears.
To get
Who's the crier? Who's the emotional one that triggers it for everybody else?
Well, I don't know. I think Dad said mum was prancing for about 5 laps to go. He couldn't even talk to her. She was just running back and forth. But I think obviously they're both very emotional and they probably don't show it until it actually happens and they've done that in the past where I was 8 years old racing go-karts and then someone's going, he's going to win, and they're like getting really excited and then my spark plug shot out the top of the motor 3 laps to go and I lost my first state title. So mum's like, nah.
Not that he hasn't forgotten about it at all.
That's right, yeah. So mum's like, nah, it's still not over. So it's, but definitely mum is probably more emotional, but still dad shed a tear, which is just something very special. But yeah, just the relief. It's like almost a monkey off the back when you get that win. And there's so many things that, you've seen other guys win it in their first year and I didn't get that first win and thinking, these things just go through your head of, am I doing something wrong or whatever? And then you get that one. It's like, all right, it's all just come together and it's such a competitive place at the moment. So to get that one, I'm like, all right, cool. I can just continue on my journey and march forward. So.
And obviously also with the fact that, Matty, your teammate, has been, winning races as well. That's always sort of hard to sit back 100%. And watch. So now you're both race winners and onwards and upwards for you.
Yeah, 100%. So it's absolutely awesome to have Matty as a teammate. Like he's one of the best drivers I've ever come across.
Does his heart rate ever lift?
I think it's
rise?
at about.
He's got a very flat curve.
I think he sits about 60 like the whole race. He's just
permanently resting.
Might have gone to about 65 when that wheel came off.
Probably had a couple small little spike.
Even hear his radio, he's like, I've lost a wheel, and it's like he's not stressed whatsoever.
I've still got 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll bring it back. But he's just a cool dude, and he's just great to work with. Like. There's no ego involved there. Obviously, he's super competitive, but he won't hide anything from me and I won't hide anything from him. And that's why I think we're working really well together at the moment. So it's bloody good.
Tell you what was great was the aftermath of the race win. Tell me the story. I did hear the radio chat between you and Riccardo, your Italian engineer who worked at Ferrari. That's been said many times in the last little while. But Cioccolato, what's the story there? Because I feel like at the very least, there's a food story here. And I like food, and I want to know what the story is. He's Italian, so I'm guessing he's good with food.
Yeah. No, so that's a pretty funny story. So obviously, Riccardo. I took him home to Mount Gambier for Easter.
Do you put a bit of Italian twinge when you say his name?
Riccardo.
Hey, there
Riccardo.
you
got to
nice.
get the roll, like the
Yeah,
tongue roll.
roll.
Yeah. Riccardo. So, no, it's cool. So, yeah, obviously we're heading home and 5-hour drive. We're running out of stuff to do on the way home to Mount Gambier from Melbourne. And he's like, oh, I've got a song for you. And I'm like, all right. And it was the gangster rap. And I didn't understand the words because it was in Italian. But I heard caramello, cioccolato, and marshmallow. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like gangster rap.
That doesn't sound too bad.
I was like, but this is a lot better than what I listen to. So,
Master Chef,
exactly.
gangster rap, or
so it's pretty funny. So yeah, obviously this Italian rapper was boasting about food and about chocolate, caramello, and marshmallow. So anyway, so over the weekend we'll just, I don't know, it's one of our little phrases we're just saying, we're like chocolate, and we're just screaming it all weekend. So it's pretty funny. So then I don't know, it came out. Yeah, when he won, he's just like that was chocolate, and I'm like, oh well, there you go. So that's pretty cool.
The other thing is though that before we started this interview, before we're having a chat before we came on camera, so you're now living solo here in Melbourne. You were living with one of your sisters, I think, from memory, who was playing super netball here, but it's not playing this year. So you're batching it. You're solo. Yes. So I don't understand what you're doing here because you've got this great race engineer that you really need to bond with. He's Italian. He can cook. Mate, sign him up. Get him into your place. This just make it happen.
I agree.
Make it happen. You'll eat like a king.
I know. And that's where I need to get some, definitely get some meals from him because he did whip up some carbonara and it's some of the best carbonara I've ever had. So
really? Did he have to go like special full? This is not like grab it off the supermarket shelf.
Nah.
This is like get the bits from here.
Yeah, I reckon he honestly travels across Melbourne to find each bit. It's like get the, like the, I don't know what it is, the bacon from here, then the cheese from here, then the special pasta. He cracks me up, but he's passionate about it, as all Italians are, which is really cool. So
one of the things I think that we probably have forgotten, we've had some international engineers over time. Obviously, Ludo Lacroix is he's been around for a long time. He's virtually Australian now, but still don't understand it. But there was actually a rule brought in many years ago. I'm not sure if it's still in the ops manual, but it probably is, that you have to speak in English.
Yes.
So you can't do the whole coded thing, which I think we had that way back. Maybe it was Alex Premer.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you about that, Kai, because I've had it myself when I was at GRM. I had Manuel Sanchez, who was my engineer, who spoke reasonable English, but the thick accent made it challenging sometimes. Have you had any communication issues with Riccardo? Probably more so in the car. So far, or has it been pretty smooth sailing?
It's been pretty smooth sailing. There's a couple there at Sydney, and the thing that we worked out with him, it's obviously very hard because obviously English is his second language, but he's actually, when he's processing stuff, quickly and trying to understand stuff, he's thinking in Italian in his head. So when he goes to communicate it, it takes him a while to communicate the words. To English.
It's got to run through the English filter.
Which is quite funny, and I didn't really think about that. So then obviously we've put a few things in place, but he's actually he's come along a really, really good way, and it's such a hectic job to come straight in and be race engineer on a supercar with our tight practice format and the way we got going on, trying to learn the car, then learn the sessions, learn the rules. So obviously he hasn't been thrown in the deep end. We've had some good people around him, but at Sydney there's a couple of times where I'm like, what was that? I just go, copy. Is it?
It goes up at the end of the teleprompter.
I'm just like, exactly. So, but no, he's been really good. He's been working really hard on, and I have as well, trying to work on our communication and, what I want from him in the race as well, like in the sessions and what I want to hear as well. So it's not just nuisance, it's productive feedback. And going back to that rule, we actually did look at it because it would have been a cool thing of have a few little keywords there that you could, like you could do boxes lap in Italian or something different to try and work it out.
A lot of teams have code for no is yes, yes is no, and all sorts of other things. Did you ever have code? Did you ever have any?
Nah, there's too much going on for me. Just keep it simple, eh? The old KISS method. Keep it simple, eh?
Yeah.
Stupid.
I actually downloaded Duolingo to try and learn Italian on the app. And it was good, but I was only learning about coffee, dog, cat, croissant, and I thought, that's not going to help you in a race car, so I deleted it.
The code words that you need.
Yeah, exactly. Croissant means 2 laps to pit. Could be
only
don't tell everyone.
only sort of code word stuff that we've used was with Potsy at Tickford. We
Sam Potter, who engineers Cam Orders.
We had Sapporo.
Sapporo, your business.
Our business, but also, fine Japanese beer.
True.
We had that
What
as
did that mean?
that was a pit opposite, basically. So if
That's awesome.
And then also when we had the 40Ks, the limiters, practicing that. So that was
on the track when it went back to 40.
Yeah. So that's the only code word stuff that I've ever used. Otherwise, just
simple.
Keep it simple. No, that's good. I like that.
It seems that since last year, mate, when you got that breakthrough podium, was it Darwin?
Yep.
And then you go and get another one. It's funny how when someone gets one, then they would get another one straight away. But it was like literally the floodgates opened and bang, we started seeing you up there on the podium. Had you, I've talked to Garth Tanner a little bit about this, and he's got so much experience from over the years. He's been there and he's done it, and he's lived your life kind of thing
100%.
very much. That whole, it'll come. When you're young, you're keen, you're eager, you want to just get going and get results and make it happen. And it wasn't happening. But then once it happened, does that make you start to go, there's something in this. I will subscribe to this theory from here on in because it's right.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a big thing that Garth's been very influential on getting me to this point is, as the first few rounds where, I had my first qualifying at Sydney. People forget I was 10th in qualifying. And I'm like, all right, I'm here to race. This is awesome.
I'm on.
And the next qualifying 23rd. So I'm like, okay, there's a bit more to learn. So, but yeah, as we trucked on and, I had to really understand and get through that tough few rounds of that rookie status and, getting turned around and beaten up. It's quite brutal. But then I sort of got to Darwin and the track obviously suited my style and the car was really good. And I sort of was just in a bit of a flow state and I got that podium, which is great. And then, backed it up on Sunday and then I probably went back into that of like, right, I can get my first race win now. Rocked up to Townsville and didn't have that good of a round. So that's where it was that reality check to go, okay, it's not this easy. Yeah. Just keep working away, just keep chipping away. Don't think about the result. And like last year, Garth, we used to talk before and after every round about what are our goals, all this stuff. And we had this full procedure and we stuck to that. And then, once I got to the finals, I really found this good mentality of coming into the round and just going out and executing every time I drove, no matter if the car's good enough for fifth, just finish fifth.
Get the fifth, bang.
Qualify fifth. If you cannot if you can't get to second, just do the lap that put you fifth. Don't lock a brake, run wide, and you're 16th.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where, and I've had a few, in this time in Supercars where, I'm like, I'm going well now. I can really execute and do a good job, but I just tip it over the edge a little bit too much. And we saw a bit of that at the start of the year. And obviously there was some other stuff going on, trying to, find our feet with, Ricardo and all that stuff. But it's sort of now that I've got, had that break between obviously Grand Prix and Taupo, I sort of just, wanted to get back into that rhythm of, make sure I'm top 5 every qualifying. Don't try and aim for pole. It's very hard. And a lot of things have to go right. So I did that obviously at Taupo. I think every qualifying I was top 6 and then did the same. That was the same goal. All right, I've done top 6, now just chip away to 4th. Don't aim for pole. Just top 4. And I did that I think one qualifying. I was 5th or whatever. So and then that's the way I'm still going now. It's like, all right, I've still got my race win, but just park that aside. Yep. I'm still on this process to then not think about this year. It's more about next year and the years to come is keep learning and keep evolving. You can't too big of a leap. You forget, what took you to get there, if that makes sense. You got to understand the process to get there. So
before we let you go, I wanted to quickly cover off. We're going to cover this in a second on number crunching, our segment about stats and data and info. But one of the things that really caught my eye this week, and we're going to dive into it when you depart us, but I wanted to flag it with you that in the Gen 3 era, Symmons Plains, guys, is the worst track for qualifying average for both Dick Johnson Racing and Grove Racing. Clearly, you're nodding going, we know, we're onto it. Qual average for all Grove cars for the 3 years of Gen 3 is 16.3. It's their worst track for qualifying. Now, what do you do? How do you change that in the next round? Yeah,
it's obviously very tricky, and that's a topic that we've had a good break to work out. And we've learned a lot. Like, we probably evolved very quickly as a team sort of after Tassie, if that makes sense. After we had another, last year we had a pretty shocking round, and
even though
Matt
won, but that was a massive strategy call, and the boys did an unreal job. So don't get me wrong, we still had success, but just car speed, we were not there.
But you hadn't been there before, had you?
No, I hadn't.
So, you hadn't been anywhere half the time last year.
And that was the key to my success. It was like,
don't know anything.
Yeah,
just go in open mind.
100%, no expectations. So but I think just Tassie, we struggle there, and the boys have done a lot of work and learned a lot from sort of that point last year to where we are now with the car development and philosophy. So, yeah, it's obviously one of those tracks where you rock up going, oh, is this going to be one of those weekends? And for us, if it is, we've just got to maximise whatever we can. And our goal is down the track in one round, I don't think will hurt us. We will still chip away, and I think we're good enough to get to the front no matter what we do, but we just got to really stick to our processes and make sure we find out what's bad and why we've been bad, and then keep moving forward.
Hopefully you find the Chocolato in Tasmania.
Exactly
I'm not sure
right.
where you can find it, but
Caramello.
If he says caramello on the radio, we're claiming it. We're claiming it. Mate, congrats on the season so far. You're well and truly in the game in that hunt for the finals, and thanks for taking some time to join us on the Undercut.
Thanks, boys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Done, mate.
There he is, Kai Allen here on the Undercut. It's time now, though, to do some more crunching here on Number Crunching. Plenty of numbers to look at here on the Undercut, Moff. I want to talk about Symmons Plains, next round of the championship. Down in Tassie, we mentioned it with Kai before, but the qualifying averages in the Gen 3 year in Tassie really interest me. And we covered off with Kai that Grove, this is their worst track for qualifying in Gen 3 when you just average out the qualifying position for these teams. So Dick Johnson Racing, they're even worse, but you would expect it with the form they've got to be better. 888.
With one car at least.
Yeah, true. Tickford at 9.9, it's their fourth best track as well of the 14 on the calendar. So no surprise the 888 are up there because they're always up there in Tassie. But there's a few interesting numbers here. And Tickford's that number's probably not as good as it could be because there was that period in 23, I think, that they had 4 cars, remember. Yeah. So a car or two further down is going to drag the average back a little bit. But Tickford are kind of a wide variation anyway.
Yes. Yeah, the Tickford number sort of surprised me a little bit, given that Randall's had the 2 poles there. And Waters, I'm pretty sure, has had pole there in Gen 3. I know they've been very quick down there, especially the last couple of years. So
it's feast or famine.
It's
a
is.
very Tickford sort of
especially
thing.
At the moment, it seems a bit feast or famine with them. And so for me, I've got that as a bit of a litmus test for Tickford down there, if they can produce the form that they've shown down there over the last couple of years with their car speed.
I think DJR will be way better than that. Brody will be in the game, no doubt.
Definitely,
They're going well at the moment.
Be another tough round probably for Ryland, given that he is a rookie down there. Did Super 2, but just the margins there are so close at Tassie.
There's nothing in it.
So,
are we going to see that scenario too where everybody does I don't want to go in qualifying and I don't want to lead, I don't want to break the air for the cars behind me, so I'm going to drive really slow and that everybody else can go past me but won't go past me?
Well, certainly there, because there's a high chance you get a headwind down the back straight, which makes the slipstream even more beneficial. So you don't want to be at the head of the queue. So we see it every year. We talk about it every year.
It's chaos
almost
every year.
A bit of a shit show every year, the qualifying there.
We forget about it after we leave every round, and then we come back to it and go, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
it's just the nature of the beast down there at Tassie. So, and certainly that first part of qualifying when all 25 or 24 cars are on the circuit, lap traffic is an issue.
You can fix it though.
Yeah.
Single car shootout. Problem solved. Hey, a couple of new bits of metal debuting down in Tassie too. Erebus have a new Camaro for Cooper Murray. Cam Waters has got a brand new Tickford Mustang. Yep. It made us look back to the last time that new cars debuted at Symmons Plains. And there's a little bit of a trend here. It's been a long time since some new hardware's been rolled out down there. You got to go back to 2010, I think Alex Davison had a new Irwin Ford. Garth Tander had a new HRT Commodore. That very car went on to win Bathurst the next year. And if you go back further than that, Mark Scaife, 2004, that HRT 050, that car won Bathurst the next year. So not a bad idea to debut a new car in Tassie because they win Bathurst on occasion.
But the following year.
Next year. Yeah. So you got to stick with it. But
so what, are we locking in Waters or Murray for a win at Bathurst in 2027?
Well, wait.
2028?
We've got to wait till October next year to find out how that
But
actually
so
works
to
out.
follow on from that, that's for those two teams, the break in racing has given them probably a bit more leeway in being able to get those cars together. So, sometimes there is
one benefit of some of these sorts of big delays.
Yep.
Symmons Plains, we covered it with Jack on a previous show, 100th Gen 3 race, but it's also the 100th championship race clocks over this weekend, on the Symmons Plains weekend, I should say, for the track in the history of the championship, going back to the Australian Touring Car Championship days. Mark Winterbottom is on top, the most race starts at Tassie over the years in terms of, his long-time, full-time career. Obviously, the drivers who've raced in the modern era with multiple races in a weekend are pretty heavily on this list here. But there's some familiar names there. But when you look down the list of, well, who's actually in the field still?
None in the top 10.
None of them. They're all either co-drivers or retired from the game. So a few more guys need a few more years of flying down to Launceston to get their numbers up to be able to work their way onto a list. And that's going to take a long time, given that there's so many young drivers in the championship. But don't forget that there was a period from 2000 to 2003, there was no round there.
Yeah.
There was 4 years without a round down there. The guy who wins a lot down there. So Whincup goes from 10th on that list to 1st on this list. So 13 race wins. I think on the previous graphic he'd done, 38 races. That winning rate is nuts. Lowndes has had a lot of success there. Peter Brock had a lot of success in the single race round era. Your old man did, Alan Moffat, there he is, P6 on the overall list. And Fabian Coulthard got his first podium ever down there in 2009 and was a winner there with DJR Tim Penske.
The thing that really jumps out for me on that list there, Noons, is there's not an active driver on that list in terms of the race wins.
No.
So
no, it's not a place that anyone's really got on top of everybody else for a period of time.
But
the last couple of years.
funny story about Big Al. He could have maybe had 6 wins down there. I'll tell you why he didn't have a 6th win.
Are you going to a car bra?
With the car bra and the Mazda. So they used to put this car bra in front of the Mazda, the RX-7.
Down on the bottom of the spoiler.
Yeah, to get temperature in the car before the race. One of the mechanics might have forgotten to take that off, and Big Al's just, ripped off. And
well, I think he did the warm-up lap with it on, didn't
only time that they ever blew up one of those rotary engines. Yeah.
They virtually baked it because there was no airflow coming in. And
so you could say, Big Al, we wouldn't have even jumped up the list. He'd still be where he was. Yeah. He would need to get a couple more, but there you go. There's a little fun fact.
Yeah, not many people have been taken out of a race by a car bra.
No.
But, Alan George in the record books in all sorts of places whenever you look at it. And when you look at the history of Symmons, this is where it stacks up for most races. Sandown has the most rounds in history, but for many years, of course, it was a single race round, being the 500 in a lot of occasions. But Wanneroo is out in front because the racing in Perth's been pretty continuous all the way through from the late 70s onwards. Symmons Plains is going to hit that 100, but of course Wanneroo's going to get back in front later in the year. Sandown, City Motorsport Park, but that's inflated. Remember in 2021, the championship pretty much lived there for 4 weekends in a row.
Didn't we? Yeah.
So we love to take
so that shouldn't even be on the list, should
Have
it?
a look at that shot, though, there of that's the field in 1977, out of the hairpin, down the back straight. It's kind of what I love about Symmons is that it matches up to the past. Like there's no new bit of track or the track's the track. Yeah. Yes, the bits around it have changed a little bit, but it's absolutely as it was. That that banking down at that hairpin, the end of the back straight.
Certainly some of those trees in the background are no longer there, Noons, but
no. And that hump, though, coming into turn one, though, I reckon that got brought down a little bit over the
trimmed
years.
a bit. You think it was a bit.
You look at the old videos and they really, maybe it was more the cars than the track.
I think it might have been the cars because it still feels,
It was pretty full on.
As a circuit, a spectating viewing circuit, it's fantastic because you can sort of stand up there on that bank on the outside of turn 2 and you can basically, if you situate yourself correctly, you can see the whole circuit basically.
Yeah.
So, and even some of those images you have provided, you just look in the background at the people there.
That run down that straight, there was always a big amount of cars parked up there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
People on the fence ready to see a Mazda explode. There was a bit going on over the journey. Symmons is a great little racetrack. It's one of the few heritage-type venues, and everybody down there puts in a lot of effort, so we can't wait to see what rolls on. Time, though, now, here on the Undercut for the Workbench. There's nothing racing drivers hate more than having to pay money. James Moffat, you're one of them. What's the biggest fine you ever received?
I think I got maybe a 2,000 or 2,500.
What for?
Suspended.
Suspended? You didn't even have to pay?
Half of it was suspended.
Oh.
So maybe it was 5 and 2.5 was suspended.
You just remember the bit that came out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Fair
Just
enough, fair enough.
little altercation with Scotty Pye. After
Was that the one at
race
the Grand Prix?
The Grand Prix.
Ah,
yeah.
yes, that went down well.
I know, but Scott and I sorted
good?
that out. Yeah, no, we're good now.
That's a long time ago.
It was.
So, Moff, what are the 7 biggest fines in Supercars history? Go.
Well, probably things that come straight off the top of the mind. Recent times, DJR, debris.
No. Debris.
Debris.
Yes.
Yep.
2019 Bathurst.
2019.
That was a $250,000
Tick.
fine,
Righto.
but 100 of it was suspended till the end of the next year, so therefore 150 grand payable.
Okay.
That's the number 1 on my list of 7. What do you got
Right.
next?
Well, there was another DJR one for the same race, the engine
Yes.
disqualification.
Yes, that was the $30,000 fine.
So
That was part of the engine thing of McLaughlin's car being excluded from qualifying the shootout, even though it had started from pole and won the race.
Okay.
So that's number 4 on the list.
Right. Team dynamic, illegal testing at
Woomera?
Woomera. I was going to say
Number 2 on the
Rimera.
list.
Righto, there you go. Okay.
2 on the list.
I'm
Yep.
going okay.
Guilty of running a car at the Woomera Rocket Range back in 2004. Initially, the breach was, I think it was 50 grand US, and then there's a whole pile of things, but they appealed it and it got increased.
Oh, good.
So it was kind of like, hey, try it on and we'll go more. So it ended up at a total of 132 grand for all the different elements involved.
Yep. Now,
What about posters? Do they spring to mind?
posters? Did Craig Gore, WPS, do something
Yes.
in the mid-2000s or when WPS
Yes.
was?
That's equal 5 on the list at $25,000.
Righto, but was
Do you
that
remember what it
poster
was?
related or not?
No, it was merch related.
Okay.
It was
Well, that's similar.
so in 2007, WPS Racing Craig Gore's team found guilty of bringing the sport into disrepute for being in possession of T-shirts in their merch area that had the words "Stay out of our sport, Hewson," which was referring to the then
Johnny Hewson.
Tiga boss John Hewson, who
Yep.
was a Liberal politician, leader of the opposition,
Yep.
big racing fan, Kevin Waldock pit crew member at the Mountain back in the day, amid speculation that Hewson and his supporters were trying to unseat Tony Cochrane from the chair role with Avesco. And Gore had distributed a really scathing letter to his fellow team owners going after John Hewson. So hence why those T-shirts became a thing. So that's equal.
What was the fine?
25 grand.
Not bad. Any suspension there or just full
Just 25
whack?
large.
Straight up.
25 large.
Now, this is going back a while, but Stevie Johnson got up on the podium,
Mm,
but that's all well and good, you think, but he
Yeah.
wasn't actually in the top 3 in the race.
correct. And that is top 3 in the fines.
Well, there you go.
30 grand.
30 gorillas.
30 grand. So Clipsal.
Any suspension there or suspended?
No. That was a big fat 30.
Okay.
So
and who
this
paid
was-
for that? Do we know?
Well,
Knowing Stevie J, it wouldn't have come out of his pocket.
Ford.
Ford.
So the thing was that Ford drivers had finished 1, 2, 3, 4 at Adelaide in 05. So it was the Saturday race, Marcus Ambrose, Russell Ingall, Craig Lowndes, Stevie J, 4th.
Yep.
Of course, 4th doesn't get onto the podium.
No.
But they did the podium, and then Stephen Johnson was ushered out onto the podium to do a photo op. And Cams went, hey, the regs say no presence of commercial and promotional personnel on the podium, which I think is still in the regs. They deemed that it was broken by that. 30 grand fine to DJR, but Ford took the blame and paid the fine because it was the Ford PR bloke that teed it up, not the DJR person.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, you've knocked over the top 5. I need 2 more here.
Well, just because I'm
surprised you haven't got this one already.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've talked about him on the show today.
Russell Ingall?
No.
Right. Who
Yeah,
else have we
mate,
talked
he had a
about?
lot, but he never quite
Yeah,
added
well,
them
that's
up to
I was
big
always
amounts.
a fan of Russell when I was younger.
If we
the
added
enforcer.
up all of the ones over time, he probably is pretty
he'd be
high.
at the top of the list.
But
for
in
sure.
terms of single fine, he's not even ranking in the top 5 or 6.
Okay. Well, who have we talked about on the show?
Well, we've talked about a bloke who we don't want to see take off his kit.
Oh, Reynolds. Oh, yeah, of course. 2015, the infamous, we probably can't say
Wagon.
it, but
The wagon.
Wagon, yeah.
25
That was
grand
25, yep.
in 2015.
And there was no suspended in that,
No.
was there?
No, but
That
he
was
did get
just-
pole, and I think it was worth 5 grand then, so that's helped sort of offset the
but when
fine a
you
little bit.
want to keep the pole
You want to
money,
keep the pole
yeah.
cash and not have
Yep.
to spend it on a fine. But there's another one on the list here that you might not remember. We've got to go back to 2002.
Well, I would only sort of say in that sort of era, there was sort of the fines for not turning up to race with the wrecks.
Well, yeah, okay. So that's
Yeah.
actually a little point we need to cover off. So John Faulkner found himself in a situation in
Bit of Barney
03
rubble, wasn't he?
where basically he and Alison, his wife, they were deemed liable for the 2 licenses not running at Queensland Raceway, 150 grand each.
Yep.
For their level ones, because it was there was a sale and a move of franchises going on around teams, and they were left in a situation where they didn't present cars for that round, but they were still the license holders. So that was it's a franchise matter. It's a TIGA thing, not an on-track or an at-event penalty. In essence, it's a penalty for not being at a round than being at a round. So that is at 300 grand, the all-time fine. But we wanted to hone in on-track stuff that people had physically actually done wrong. So
that's an honourable mention.
That's an very honourable mention, high on the list. But
hit me with the last one.
The last one is Paul Romano.
Oh.
He copped 20 grand for contact with Rodney Forbes at Phillip Island. If you go find the video, it might be on the Supercars YouTube of that race, but I think it's fair to say
this is racing contact?
Yeah. I think they'd had contact in the race, and then Paul might have gone back and retaliated at Rodney and might have I think the race control got sick of all this and hit 20 grand. So that was a pretty decent one.
Back in
02.
Not bad.
So that's probably worth 25, 26 grand.
Yeah.
Those money. So
yep.
They are the 7 biggest fines in V8 Supercar history, and you didn't get on there. So that's even good.
I'm happy about that. Yeah.
No, I think you've done very well. Well played to you. You've passed the quiz pub test here at the Undercut for fines. We might have to do a total add up though for the most fined team and the most fined driver in championship history. We might have to get Perko onto that at some point down the track. But it's always good when you don't feature in these lists, when you have to try to go through them. A big thank you to Castrol. And by the way, too, they've been fantastic partners of ours. We've got some exciting stuff coming up with them this year where you're going to get some input into something that they're going to do later in the year. I can't say anything. Can't say more, but it's a bit like you and your Bathurst thing.
Sworn to secrecy. Yeah.
Can't say anything right now, but keep watching the Undercut coming up. Have you got anything to plug before we go? When are you next racing a car? What have you got to promote? What's going on?
Looking forward to getting back up to Darwin in the Trans Am car, so that'll be round 2. That's next when we're on circuit. So, it feels like it's been a long time between racing, which it has. So to get back up to Darwin in the winter months of escaping Melbourne is never a bad thing, is it?
I could think of worse things to do. I could think of far worse things to do. New edition of V8 Sleuth magazine is out. It's right behind your head as we speak. Mark Larkham's engineering masterpiece, the Mitre 10 Falcon that's got an amazing story, but bugger all results to its name. It was the car that could have, but didn't.
Never did anything.
No, it's an intriguing story, though, of how it all came to be. There's a bunch of other great stories. You can get your copy now, by the way, from all great news agents, even a few just good ones as well as the V8 Sleuth Superstore. On the last edition of the Q&A Undercut, we talked about Lakeside and going for a ride around there. And have you ever been around Lakeside?
No,
over the
I
journey?
have not.
No. So to take us out this week, I thought we'd go back in the vault a little bit, and we've dipped into the archives and got some rippingly good onboard footage. This is Cam Wilson in a Trans Am Camaro going large around Lakeside. I've got a feeling, Moff, when you look at this vision, the tyres weren't absolutely brand new at the time. So enjoy this. This is a ride around Lakeside. Hope you've enjoyed the Undercut. We will have a Q&A episode again very soon. In the meantime, thanks to the team at Castrol and everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time right here on the Undercut.